Welcome to Store Brand Cartoons, part of the Store Brand Comics channel. We're currently sitting at I think 11 subscribers, so trucking along.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Tio, and this is Mom.
Hi.
And this is the show where we talk about cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, today's movie that we're talking about is called 5 centimeters per second. Quite the title. It's an anime movie. It's directed by, and I think written. I'm not sure if it was written, but I know it's directed by a guy named Makoto Shinkai, which for anyone who really pays attention to anime movies, especially in the past few years, will probably recognize his name is the director of a movie called Your Name, which kind of broke into the American mainstream a couple of years ago. And he also directed a movie called The Garden of Words, which that's the only other one of his movies I've seen besides this. But yeah, so I guess we'll start with your thoughts this time.
Well, you had said that it was, it's kind of an, when he brought it up to me, he's like, I watched this when I was an angsty teen.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it's, just really got me. The last scene just really got me.
Yeah, it hit me kind of hard because I didn't know what
life was at that point.
Or what real emotions were, so.
It starts off really nice, and it's, it's got this narrative about the cherry blossoms, and they fall at 5 centimeters per second. That's the whole title thing. That only comes up once, really, in the whole movie. But from there, it turns into this. He didn't tell me that there were it's 3 shorts, okay? So it's 3 shorts of basically having the same characters in it as they progress through different ages of their life. So it starts out with this boy who can't tell this girl that he cares about her, and they are living, separate from each other in 2 different cities, and he writes all these letters to her he never sends or something like that.
Well, I think he sends letters. He just had one in particular that he wanted to give in person.
Well, and yeah, okay. So there was one in particular he wanted to give, and he's going to meet her, and it's a snowstorm that's delaying the train, and he's acting like the whole world is coming to an end. I mean, I'm gonna die.
I don't think he ever said that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure those words, he's like, the world, it just has no meaning. Oh, okay, because you're in a snowstorm on a train. Okay, and your train's a little late. You're still gonna see her, but we're all having a fit here. So then they finally see each other, and it's they're 13?
Probably
somewhere. They stay in a cabin somewhere overnight, they found.
Yeah, well, they just find a random shack. It's not like a romantic cabin.
No, it's like this shack, and they ball up in the corner with a blanket so they don't freeze to death. Did nobody's mom wonder where the heck these kids were? That was my question. And so they part their ways. He doesn't give her the letter, and then
because he lost the letter,
and then just ends. It's like, oh, okay. And then we go on to the second one, and this is where he's like, I want to say college age-ish.
He's high school age.
Whatever.
Like the end of high school.
Okay, end of high school. And he's got all these texts that he doesn't send to her, so he still hasn't told her how he really feels. And this one is about the girl that likes him while he's pining over the other girl that he can't have. And she literally at one point is like, don't be nice to me. I can't handle it. If you're not nice to me, then I don't feel like I love you. So I'm like, oh my God, this is the biggest pile of crap I think I've ever seen. And I'm like, people actually watch this stuff. So
yeah, I did.
I know.
This is okay. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the first dramatic non-action based anime that I watched in movie form.
Okay, and I just a little background on me. I don't do well with drama. I don't do well with chick flicks. I don't do well with romance.
Shut up.
Give me a good action flick, horror flick, bones, guts, that kind of stuff. I'm good. But when it comes to like, I love you so much, but I can't be with you. Stop it. Make a choice. Let's move on with our lives. So then that one ends, and he still hasn't told the girl how he feels. The other girl who's totally in love with him, I don't really remember what happened to her. Did she move on with her life, or did she?
Probably at some point.
I don't know. Maybe she laid down in a corner and died or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like the last time we see her. Oh, the last time we see her, she's like, because through that whole bit, one of the running themes is that like that girl's older sister has been trying to teach her how to surf, and she hasn't been getting the hang of it. So the last time we see her, she comes to the conclusion that she's probably just never going to tell the boy how she feels, and then she starts getting good at surfing.
She goes on with her life and decides to take everything one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So she's beginning to move on with her life. It felt very Twilight. I mean, this whole thing felt very Twilight. So then we come to the last one, and he's an adult, and he still hasn't told her how he feels about her. This other chick isn't even a part of the equation anymore. But now his love interest, she grew up, she's completely normal, she's moved on with her life, she's getting married, things are great, and he's walking down the street seeing her. And the last scene is he turns around and he passes her over a train track, and he turns around to look at her, and the train goes whizzing through, and this is a freaking long train. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, well, it's a long train, and then right as it ends, a second long train going the other direction passes by.
I felt like that was excessive, but I mean, the one long train was long enough. She could have disappeared in that time. Anyway, so she wasn't there, and he had this faint little smile as he turned around and he started walking away. It's like, okay, what does this mean exactly? You have literally been clinically depressed since you were 13 years old, and you really needed to, get on some medicine, or see a therapist so that you could cope with all of these emotions that you were going through. And I mean, I remember being super dramatic and super emotional and super in love when I was 13, 14 years old. Thought I was going to die if I didn't get the person that I loved, that kind of thing. By the time that you're an adult, if you haven't dealt with some of these things, that was where it went a little far. Yeah. And just come on. So I can't say that I'm a fan of this. If you have a really angsty, super romantic, Twilight, leaning teenager, it's fairly clean. There's really no swearing, there's no sex, there's no nudity, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's really no content other than...
It's very much a tone piece.
Oh, it's very slow. And although I didn't fall asleep, I did really well.
Yeah, I was shocked.
I did really well, but this is definitely not a do-over. I won't ever watch this one again if given a choice.
The thing about this movie is it is 1 hour, but you will feel that hour.
Oh, the whole thing.
It's not one of those 1 hour movies where it's
But I will say, the animation is beautiful. The scenery is gorgeous.
Yes. One thing that I will say is consistent across all of Shinkai's work is that, all of the background art and details and things like that are super, pretty to look at. You could just stare at it.
It is. It's like a moving painting. It's very beautiful.
You could take a screenshot of any of the backgrounds in his movies and put it up on your wall as, a poster.
And the snow really felt snowy, and the cherry blossoms felt cherry, it felt very real. I don't know if you can see this, but that's kind of an indication of what the artwork is like.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very, very pretty, very well drawn. Yeah. No, I mean, if a garden of words, if that movie has more talking than this movie has in it. I mean, like, this has a lot of talking.
Oh yeah, this one's mostly narration.
A garden of words. I can only imagine people.
Well, actually, okay. Well, hang on. I don't quite know why the movie's called that because I saw it, and there actually isn't as I think there isn't as much talking in it.
Okay.
And that is comparatively not like just because it's shorter, because that one is only 45 minutes.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's but yeah, the Garden of Words is a little bit different from this movie, just in regards to the fact that like it's about an older set of characters, but it's still similarly angsty.
Okay, so this is the premise of it. Witness the story of Takaki, a young man on a journey from Tokyo to reunite with his childhood best friend Akari. Feel his emotions superimposed on the gorgeous, heavily researched and impressively animated backdrops of Japan as he travels by train to see her. Join Takaki on a voyage into 3 interconnected tales of love and lost innocence that span the minutes and months of their lives. Okay, love and lost innocence? I mean, the only lost innocence I can see is the fact that you fell in love with somebody you couldn't tell. Like, in both of them, they're like, I just can't tell him. Okay, so why not? Like,
because they're teenagers, and teenagers are stupid.
They can be. So yeah, I mean, you can watch this. It's like I said, it's definitely gorgeous to look at.
This might be a good movie to watch like after a breakup, or when you're sitting on the couch just eating tubs of Ben and Jerry's.
Hi. Do you feel like you need to be completely depressed and want to lament your entire life? Watch this movie.
Or you can do what Mom and I did. We just kind of sat and made fun of it the whole time.
Oh my god!
And
it's the only way to get through a movie like that. Is like, what is this crap?
And I will say I think I picked the right time in my life personally to do this sort of experiment, because now I can just sit and make fun of these movies with my mother. If I tried doing this years ago with her, there'd
have been words.
Yeah, no, there would have been arguments, and because I took things like this more seriously. I still take it seriously. I care about the reason I'm doing this is because I care about animation a lot. It's something I'm passionate about, like comic books. But at the same time, it's like I can recognize when something is flawed like that, and
really the only flaw in it
is in the writing.
Is the story.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the rest of it's brilliant.
Yeah, like we said, this movie is really pretty to look at.
Mm-hmm. Music is very nice.
The music is very nice. There's like a song at the end of the movie that's like easy listening, like nice to listen to.
Yeah, it's like Japanese in rhyme. It's very interesting.
Is it?
There's a lot of rhyming.
Was there?
Oh yeah.
See, I can't tell because it was in Japanese.
Yeah, well, when all of the syllables sound the same.
All right.
I mean, that was not meant to be rude, but like there was a lot of odo, kodo, hodo kind of, like it ended very rhymey in certain areas. So.
But yeah, a lot of. But then again, like we don't speak the language, so.
No, exactly. So we had no idea what they were saying.
But yeah, but it was a nice, pleasant song to end it on. But yeah, like Mom said, one interpretation that I think can kind of be taken away is like right at the end of the movie when he like turns away and walks with like this faint smile on his face. My takeaway from that is like now he feels like he can move on, because all he really needed was to know that like she had moved on and wasn't obsessing over him the way he was over her, because like he basically let his obsession with this one girl that he knew when he was a kid derail his entire life,
the whole thing,
so
up to that point.
Yeah, so it's like, and then he gets to the end and comes to the realization like, well, maybe she's moved on. And
I'm glad for her. It was kind of like, I'm really happy that she's happy.
Oh, yeah. We didn't really get to see a whole lot of her as a character. But
no.
As far as I could tell, she deserved to be happy.
Well, yeah, no, and that's kind of what his smile was like. It's like, oh, she deserves to be happy. I'm glad that she's happy. But that's also, you could read all kinds of stuff into it and be like, well, You know, as long as she's happy. It's kind of like country songs where they're like,
Mm,
I don't care how you rip me to pieces as long as you're smiling.
yeah.
Oh, bull crap.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe I'm a little less delicate than I should be, but whatever.
All right, yeah. So like I said, we found one of these a little earlier than I thought we would. I didn't think we would find a movie that we were just going to make fun of for 15 minutes until a little later into the list. So,
Welcome to the first one.
yeah, woo! I don't know what we're going to do next week yet.
It's a surprise.
This has been our second Japanese one in a row, so I'm thinking I might shift gears and
We
look.
might go American.
Might do another American one because our first one was American.
Mhm.
So might do another American one. Don't know which one
Or
yet.
who knows, maybe we'll find something in Hungarian. I'm kidding. I have no idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I mean, you know, France and Brazil are still on the list too.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Okay.
If you like this video and think it directed you to a good movie that you can just kind of sit around with some friends and make fun of for an hour, or if you're actually interested in like angsty tone pieces like this, because like I said, this movie is 100% tone. But yeah, if you think we directed you towards an interesting movie, subscribe to the channel. That's in order. And we will see you next week.
Yeah. More fun stuff. Bye.